One of the cameramen of the Light My Fire footage is with me today. Frank Lechandro was Jim Morrison's best friend. And thanks to Frank, we now have this book. Check it out, people. Some of the lost writings of Jim Morrison, his poetry. The name of it, The Lost Writings of Jim Morrison, #1 volume, Wilderness. Frank.
Hi.
How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Glad to be here.
Tell me about shooting the Light My Fire number.
I was at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was a great performance. We had 3 cameras going. We're making a documentary about the Doors.
Yeah.
Came out to be called Feast of Friends, and it was a fabulous film that they put on the shelf. Never showed anybody.
Never, and why not?
Showed a lot of fans riding at Doors concerts. Wasn't good for their concert tour.
Oh, I see. Okay. You and Jim Morrison met at UCLA?
Correct, in film school.
And what circumstance got you two together?
Probably we became friends during the making of this film, Feast of Friends. Jim would drop into the editing room. I'd be busy trying to put pieces of film together and match them to music. And he would drop by and look over my shoulder and pull up his stool, and we'd sit there half the night talking about film and putting the film together.
And you're still a filmmaker today?
I am.
And you're working out of the West Coast?
I am.
Now, back to when you and Jim Morrison became the best of friends, was there a certain a political or educational or sexual climate that brought you two together that was, sort of, when you get really intimate, what was the thing that really triggered the intimacy that made you two best friends?
It was the 60s. We were all living on the street. We all thought of ourselves as street people. You know, we did what was there to happen on the street. There was street art going on. There was people playing music on the street. You could go hear the Buffalo Springfield at the Whiskey one night, and Taj Mahal would be playing somewhere else, and it was all happening at the same time. We were all hanging out. We became friends because we were all interested in the same thing.
Yeah, now, did you look like Jim Morrison at that time yourself?
Hardly.
Yeah?
Never.
Well, Gary Busey was on earlier tonight, and he said when he got to Los Angeles and saw the Doors perform, he had just come out of Tulsa, so he had like a little buzz cut on, and everybody had, he said, long hair growing out of their heads, their backs, their butts. So what did
Gary would say that.
Yeah. So what was your like? What did you look like then?
Well, I had long hair and a beard, but
yeah.
Jim was clean shaven and great looking. And when I'd go out with him to bars, any of his friends, I mean, all the ladies would look at Jim and ignore the rest of us. So we felt like nothing.
Was he a constant writer? You've compiled volume 1 of his poems.
Well, he must have been writing all the time. There's 2,000 pages, 2,500 pages that we've come across so far of notes and jottings and poems and essays. And
yeah.
I suspect that when he wasn't on stage and he wasn't rehearsing with the band or making an album, that he was spending his time writing. That's how he started, being a poet. And
well, thanks to you, we have footage of Jim Morrison reading his poetry. And this is from a 5-hour production you put together?
Well, it's a long production. I don't think it's quite 5 hours, but it's pretty long. It's called Highway.
Well, let's take a little look at Highway. Jim Morrison and his lost writings.
Why does my mind circle around you? Why do planets wonder what it would be like to be you? All your soft, wild promises were words, birds endlessly in flight. Your dog is still lost in the frozen woods, or he would run to you. How can he run to you, lunging with blooded sickness on the snow? He's still sniffing gates and searching strangers for your smell, which he remembers very well. Is there a moon in your window? Is madness laughing? Can you still run down beach rocks, bed below without him?
Frank, what does that mean?
Woo. I think there's a lot of meanings. Like any really wonderful poem, it has layers of meaning. On the surface, it could be a poem about a dog that gets lost. But maybe it means that someone close to Jim, someone he loved, wasn't loving him at the moment, and he felt like a lost dog.
That's, I thought I was writing poems like that back in the 60s when I looked like Link on the Mod Squad. So it was a lot of stuff, like writing the word down and made it look like a down escalator. I thought I was so clever with a typewriter. There's a poem like that in this book.
There is kind of one, yeah.
Yeah. Now this is volume 1. Are you going to come up with volume 2, volume 3?
There's plenty of material for another volume, and hopefully in that volume we will present all of the rest of Jim's writing, so that all of his fans can have all of the stuff that he ever wrote.
Did you ever see the movie The Rose?
Sure.
Did you know that critics always write that Bette Midler based her character on Janis Joplin, and she claims, she says, no, I based it on Jim Morrison. I based my character on Jim Morrison.
Bill Kirby, who wrote The Rose, was at film school with us and was a friend of Jim's.
Oh, yeah, so that's a connection there.
Another connection.
All right. You went out shopping with, tell me who it was like to go out shopping with Jim Morrison.
It's kind of funny. Jim didn't have any concern about possession, so he would go to a clothes store. One time I remember distinctly, we went to a store to buy some jeans and boots, and he went in the dressing room, had to put on new jeans, new underwear, new shirt, put on new jeans, took the stuff out of the dressing room he was wearing like a snake, shedding its skin, and walked out with all the new clothes on and said, here, I don't need these anymore. Huh. And so he had what he had on his back, and that was all. He didn't own a car half the time. He never had a house of his own. He was a typical rock star.
Well, now we can own his poems, and if the rest of the writings are like the sample we saw in that little clip there, this is one deep book. Okay, it's Frank. You take care of yourself, all right?
Thank you.